Oh, hi. It's just me again, driving past the produce stand, hoping to see a sign for artichokes on sale. Where are they?
They've been choked by the smoke. Hello, Red Sun and Brave New World on fire.
Well, I got stung by a bee on my calf. What kind of bee does something like that, Heather? I don't even understand the message.
That is a little confusing. Liam Neeson seems like a good, chill, tall man. Even when he says things like, I will find you and I will kill you, it soothes me. Now you know all my secrets.
Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just that. Heather, I'm feeling like singing.
Episode 2. Oh, 3. I don't have a very good singing voice, but I'm dancing over here. I'm dancing.
Yes.
This is the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life. You got to laugh so you don't cry. How is everybody doing
How
out
are you
there?
doing?
It kind of feels like Monday and Tuesday have been swapped for me. I had a good day yesterday, and now I'm feeling like I got a case of the Mondays on a
Oh
Tuesday.
yeah,
That seems a little backward,
it's
right?
not fair. Tuesdays are for snacks, tacos,
Mm-hmm.
sandwiches. We are recording this
And
on a
Liam Neeson
Tuesday.
movies, apparently.
Tuesdays can be weird though. I mean, you and
Yeah.
I talk about it being Groundhog Day all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
half of every. I mean, when it's the weekend, I know it's the weekend, but half of every,
Sure.
Monday through Friday type 5 day span, I'm like, what day is it? There's certain days where I
Oh,
do
same.
different things than other days, but Tuesday is one of those
Yeah,
days where like it's a little bit of a wild card day. Sometimes I'm
it
like
is.
really slammed, and other days I'm like, oh
Yeah.
wow, I kind of have like a couple extra hours to like go on a jog or do an errand or two. But yeah,
But you're still looking down the week.
it's still, yeah, Saturday's far. Saturday is far.
Saturday is very
Yeah.
far, but, yeah, I did something really out of character the other day, Sarah.
Okay.
I went to get gas at my local gas station down the road, and I realized I had never been in the little market right there, the gas station shop,
Yep.
where you can pick up, I don't know, like a coffee or bottle of water,
Perhaps a, yeah, small candy
and I was
bar,
like, "That's so weird, I've never been in there."
beef
Yeah,
jerky.
something. So I go in there, I got some gum, looked around, kind of a nice little gasoline shop. And I
That's, you're
I
you're
was
being
buying my
you're being
gum.
very sweet to the gasoline shop.
Yeah,
It was a
I
perfectly
just was
nice
like,
gasoline shop, everybody.
it was perfectly nice. They even sell burritos there. Apparently, they have like a little Mexican burrito cafe in there, and you can get like a gas station burrito. It's crazy. A lot of people do it. I've never done it. There was a little glass window right at the checkout, and I mean, they do this on purpose. Let's be honest. And it has all the lottery tickets in there. There's probably about 5 rows of 5 different lottery tickets. They have all the different themes. Look, I do not play the lottery. I do not buy scratchers. I have friends that do all the time. It's just not my thing. I'm not a gambling woman. I don't want to throw away money, but I don't know what compelled me that day. I can't even tell you what it was, but I wanted to buy some.
Mm.
And I picked a couple really random ones. One was poker, and another one was kind of a word game thing. But I asked the lady behind the counter, like, which ones are really popular right now? Like, which ones have like the big,
Big pot.
yeah, which ones have the big pot? And she told me those 2, so I got them, which I
It's like
found them to
Mega
be actually very
Millions
confusing
stuff.
scratchers.
Yeah.
I had to, like, ask a friend, I'm like, "Did I win anything?" I'm not, like, clear if I did, because like, I feel like this one hand that says I'd win $500 looks better to me than the dealer hand. They're like, "No, I don't think so, but you should go check. Go back to the gas station." And my friend who
So-
looked over these for me said to go back to the gas station that he often does, just to triple check to make sure he
Just to
didn't win
make sure
anything.
you didn't win the Mega Million California pot, which was like a
Yeah.
billion or something.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I sat on these things for like 3 days. I carried them around in my purse. They got kind of scratched up. I didn't do them right away. And I'm like, isn't that the point? Like you feel lucky, you're feeling something. I don't know if it's luck or you're just peppy and you're like, I'm going to buy these tickets.
Hmm.
And I sat on them for 3 or 4 days, just like, I guess I should do these now because, they might be out of date. But very strange. I was like, what compelled me to buy these? I only spent like $7 or
Which
something,
is a funny
but
thing, right?
still.
Because the whole, it's like, I mean, yes, technically anyone has as much of a chance to win the lottery as the next person, right? And you can't
Mhm.
win if you don't play, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm with you. I don't play. My dad he used to do the quick picks.
Mhm.
I don't even like I don't even know the difference between like a national lottery and like the state lotteries, or maybe they're all state lottery. I don't really know. But I worked at a grocery store when I was in high school. And my dad always he would it looked like a I don't know, like a SAT test where you got a pencil and you hand the cashier, the stuff that you've chosen and they run it through the machine.
Mhm.
For some reason, it was something because I was under 18 at the time. I was like not supposed to touch the lotto machine, which was only at a
Okay.
certain, like, only there was like one register for like the six registers at this grocery store. There was only one lotto machine behind the one register. So, like, people were constantly going back, behind the person who was working at this particular station. But I wasn't supposed to touch
Mhm.
the lotto machine, but like, there was some weird loophole where I could if they only did quick picks, which means that they didn't choose their own numbers. And I have no idea
Yeah.
why that is less gambling and therefore like less harmful for a child to be a
Huh.
part of. I mean, literally, like I put this thing into a machine and it went like, meh, meh, it looked like a receipt basically,
Yeah.
and then you give it back to the person and they either win or not.
I don't know how it works. I really don't.
Never made any sense to me. Yeah, it just
Yeah, and even I'm like, "Wait, I'm gonna bring these back to that woman who was behind the counter. Is she, like, all-knowing scratcher gal? Like, she's gonna be able to tell me if my poker hand is,
well,
is better
okay.
than the
So
d
I'm glad you're
like,
bringing this
it's
up.
such a strange
Glad you're
thing.
bringing this up because I know this is in California recently, like within the last few weeks. There was some, I know it was Mega Millions because it was on the news, and people were just sort of
Mhm,
talking about it. And I love a good convenience
mhm.
store, so you always have people who are
Yeah,
like just
same.
like in there playing lotto, like scratching at
Mhm.
the counter where you're like, can you scratch like next to the counter so I could like come and go? But yeah, people take it really seriously. And there was this whole thing about how nobody knew who had won the big $1 billion thing, but it had apparently been
Yeah.
sold. Like that was
Mhm,
traceable, but who it was had not come forward. And so I'm like, okay,
mhm.
if it's traceable, then yeah, like it almost reminds me of like Willy Wonka, right? When like Charlie has the golden ticket and he's like, I have a golden ticket. And
Mhm.
everyone's like, oh my God. And I'm like, hold on to it. Oh God, someone's going to steal it from you. It's like, I feel the same
Yeah,
way about like, it's like the winning lotto ticket. Like, is someone just going to like, burn my house down and get that ticket? They probably would if they knew they
maybe.
could become a
Yeah,
billionaire.
I think so. I think for
So I
sure.
guess
I
they could probably trace it back to me and then they'd be in trouble.
I feel like this whole, like, scratcher lottery thing is such a huge mystery to me, and I think maybe that's what compelled me as I was like, I've had I had one birthday, and a friend gave me the amount of years he basically gave me. I don't know what it was. I think it was like my 40th birthday. He gave me $40 worth of scratchers, and it was a really fun birthday gift because we did it at my house and it was like part of the party
Yeah.
and it was fun and I enjoyed it. And I kind of thought, I guess I'm sort of missing out. I think the mystery behind it and like it's a mystery enough as it is to manage my own finances. And it's like I'd rather put my brain energy into managing my real money than, like, I don't know, playing these risky games. Maybe this came up because I recently went to see my financial advisor, and like I mentioned on the show, right before I left for my trip, I've been trying to really maximize on a lot of these high interest rates right now for like CDs, kind of the very low impact, like conservative
Mm-hmm.
investing, where it's just like, I'm not talking about like stocks. I'm talking about like money market savings accounts that have high interest rates and that kind of thing. And I'm really trying to understand it as best as I can so I can make these good decisions, now in my life. Um, and It's complicated as it is. Like I think I realize as I'm taking these investing opportunities, I'm still very conservative, you know? And so it kind of reflects on me, like not really wanting to spend $7 on a scratcher. It's like I'm not there yet. Maybe I will take more risks because you get more payoff if you do more risk. It's just the probability is lower. But if you do win, you win a lot or you make a lot of money. You're not going to make a lot if you stay super conservative. You know, it's this game that it always felt like like a real life monopoly that never really appealed to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just want to like break the code, you know? Because I might buy more. I might be
You
like
might
kind
be,
of into it
you
now.
might be a
It's
lotto
weird. It's
person,
really
and I think
weird.
that's totally
I'm changing,
cool.
Sarah.
Totally cool. I might be a lotto person too in the future. In fact, maybe I'll go out and buy a little something when we're done with this
You
show. Why
should,
not?
Sarah. When you're having a good
I have
day,
to
you're
go get
having like
vitamin
an
water
extra
anyway.
good day. There
Well,
you
I don't have
go.
to, but I'm
Do
going
it,
to.
girlfriend. I support you. I
I
support
really
you.
love a good convenience store,
Let me know how it
Heather.
goes.
I do.
Same.
It's in,
And a
you
good
were
hardware
talking about like
store.
the burrito and just like they're like various things.
You would so rock a burrito from this. I know you. You would have already gotten many burritos from this place.
I I I I don't know if many.
Maybe
Hey,
at
maybe
least
it's a good
one.
burrito, and then I would get many. My old house, I talked about going to the market down the street quite often because
Yeah,
it was the
you
only
did
place I could walk to.
ad
So I was there
nauseum.
all the time. And, it was people watching. There were actually their coffee was garbage, but sometimes in a pinch, I wasn't gonna knock it. First thing in the morning, if I was busy, I was out of
Better
beans,
than nothing.
let's do it. And all the other various things. Like I would buy like weird earplugs from there sometimes where I'm like, where are my earplugs? I don't know where my earplugs are. Sam's will have it. They always had like one of everything. It was a great convenience store.
Uh-huh.
But I I don't go there because I don't live right next door anymore. So it would be, I don't know, out of the way. But you could say, well, they're all sort of the same store, right? Convenience store, corner store, liquor store, mini mart, whatever you want to call it. Not true. Not true. They are very different. They have different vibes. The people working there, they
They're curated differently
set
too.
the tone. You
They
and
do.
sometimes the people, some there, you get to know people's schedule, right? It's like if I'm always going for vitamin water, I don't know when we're gonna wrap this up. It'll be afternoon on the West Coast. It's like I'm always gonna see the same person behind the counter. Or, I'm likely to. And sometimes that person is not very nice, but that doesn't bother me. In fact, it fuels me. I want to turn them. I want to turn their day around. Like, I will kill them with kindness unless they
Yeah,
accuse me of stealing
totally.
something, which has happened.
Which
Which
has
has happened, and
happened.
we've talked about it. But I have one. This is a really disgusting story, so I'm just gonna say it. When I was in
Okay.
college, so many moons ago, there was, I had three roommates and it was college, so it was like a weekend and there was a 7-Eleven that was walkable from our apartment. And it was kind of like in the middle of it. They didn't really, there was nothing else around the 7-Eleven. I don't really know why the 7-Eleven was there. And it's hard to explain the living situation, but we were way out at the beach in San Francisco, which is in a very residential area. Like you don't have, it's a little
Hmm.
different now, but
Yeah.
this was, I wasn't in college yesterday. So it was pretty dead out there, but there was the
Uh-huh.
7-Eleven and like a laundromat next to it. And we had more than a few Sierra Nevadas, and like we're like at the 7-Eleven really late to like get gross food. And it's like one of those things where like they have like the hot dogs that are sort of almost on a rotisserie thing, and they look
Oh,
very
yeah.
rubbery, and you're like, gosh, I mean, how long have the
Yes.
hot dogs been doing this? And like maybe like a piece of pizza,
But people
some
buy them
strange, some
and they eat them.
pierogi, yeah, exactly. It's like
Uh-huh.
it's the hot food area. And I don't know, some 7-Elevens are better at this than others. And this particular one was just like, the food was really gross, like even for, kind of gas station food. And one of my roommates
Mhm.
was like, I want some pizza. And he wasn't in his right mind, thinking clearly. And some other guy was in there and like was like, because it was like a glass door that you had to open and like take it off the shelf thing. And some other guy
Mhm.
is like in front of us and opens the shelf and like also grabs something. But while he does, he sneezes into the like chamber. Like he sneezes like onto the food.
Oh boy.
And my roommate, his name was Dave. I will keep his surname out of the public. Hello, Dave, wherever you may be. He was like, I don't care. I'm still going to buy it. And we were like, no, God, don't do it. Do not get this. And he was like, get away from me. I'm doing it. And he did. And
Wow.
it was a horrific moment that ended up being a funny thing that none of us could stop telling everybody that we met from that day
Uh-huh.
forward. We were like, and then Dave ate the pizza that was sneezed on.
Oh boy. Did he get sick?
No, I mean, I don't know.
No, he was fine. He
He
was
was
fine.
fine.
Yeah, well, it's funny. When you talked about the hot dogs like rolling on the little spinner thing, I actually forgot that I used to go and get the bagel dogs there, like after school. I mean, this is like this is like middle school and high school. I used to get the bagel dogs, and I remember them being really
Love a good
tasty. I
bagel
mean, they were
dog.
very like 7-Eleven
Mm-hmm.
style, but sometimes like that type of food can be really soothing. Like at the end of a night, for example, being in Europe and staying up really late, like we had hot dogs one night at the end of the night. And sometimes it just does the trick, Sarah Lane. It just does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when I had a hot dog last, but I wouldn't say no if I'm in the right mood. A bagel dog, never liked a corn dog. For some reason, corn dogs just they never appealed to me. And sometimes it would be like corn
Mm.
dog day at school. If you're like on the school lunch,
Hmm.
program. I always skipped
Hmm.
those days. Didn't like corn dogs. Bagel dogs I like very much. And I like to
Very much. Yeah,
to
you don't
mix
see
the
those
ketchup and
anymore.
mustard together so it becomes sort of this orange thing.
Totally.
Yeah, that's how you eat a bagel dog. Mm.
Why aren't there any? I just don't think there's any bagel dogs out there
Oh, I'm
anymore. I don't
sure
think
there
people are
are.
making them.
I'm sure there are.
Hmm. Okay, I'll be on the lookout. So, what's going on, Sarah? How have you been lately? I've been kind of the Tasmanian devil this last week. So I want to hear about what's happening in your neck of the
Well,
woods.
besides a bee stinging me on my calf,
That must have
a
hurt.
calf not as in my body, not a small cow. Yeah, it was so. I go to this. Well, I go to plenty of parks with the dog Otis, but there's
Mhm.
one in particular that we've been going to lately, and it's just that
Mhm.
time of year where there are a lot of bees. And it depends on, how often the grass is being mowed, and the less often, the more bees, etc. You know how this all works.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
sometimes I'm walking around. It depends on just, I don't know, the weather that day or, what else I was doing. But, I'm often walking around in flip flops or even barefoot sometimes. It just like feels good to have it, the grass
Yeah.
on my feet. And sometimes, I'm fully clothed and not I don't even have like exposed legs. It's like my leggings are like
Mhm.
long. Anyway, other day because it was hot, I am wearing my flip flops and I'm kind of running around and being cute with Odie and I see the bees and I'm always worried that he's going to get stung, which he has in the past. Nothing that ever was like
Mhm.
super terrible, but he gets like swollen and limps around and I'm like, "Oh, poor boy. He didn't do it on purpose, but he's a dog." So I'm looking a little
Mhm.
bit more closely and it just came out of nowhere. I mean, it wasn't even sort of like, "Oh, I was swatting away a bee or whatever." I'm also, I'm not allergic to bees. I don't like them. I mean, actually, that's not true. I should back up. I like bees very much. But like if I'm
Mhm.
having a picnic and there's a bee, sort of swarming around, it's like I'm that person who kind of like
Yeah.
runs away. It just like I'm so uncomfortable. It's just like it's hard
Yeah,
for me to
totally.
ignore them. It's just, I
Yeah.
don't know, especially if it's like a yellow jacket, which is a whole different thing. Anyway, the bee, for whatever reason, I upset the bee and it stung me on kind of like, I don't know, I'm looking at my leg right now. It doesn't look that bad anymore. It was like on the side of my calf, just like a very strange place. It wasn't my foot, so it wasn't like I stepped on the bee.
Yeah.
It wasn't my,
Yeah.
hand or arm where I might have been reaching for something, or swatting or whatever. Just a
Mhm.
very strange place. And it was kind of over before it started, and I've just been stung by bees enough in my life that I knew what had happened.
It hurts though. I feel like I last time I got stung as an adult, I was pretty surprised at how badly it hurt. Because as a kid, you have more of like a, tolerance for pain. Did it hurt or was
I
it
mean,
not that
I
bad?
I I'm
You don't
sure
remember.
as a child it was scarier, because it's like, oh my God, I got
Yeah, of
stung by a bee,
course.
and kids, they cry
Yeah,
and the
of
whole thing. It's
course.
like this was not that big a deal. I mean, I would say
Okay.
if I hate anything more, it's a mosquito. And mosquitoes I am kind
Same.
of allergic to. Like my mosquito bites always just they're very dramatic. The bee sting was not that big a deal. What I hate is the itchiness. It's the
Oh,
itchiness that
totally.
happens
Yeah.
as it's healing, and then you're just like, this is the worst. But it does remind me, Heather, of this just like, speaking of like your like bizarre lottery day where you're like, I think I'll play the lottery today and I don't know why, I'm just doing it. I when we lived back in LA, back in the neighborhood that you and I lived in, there was
Uh-huh.
this like burrito place. There were a bunch of them because we lived in an area that had a lot of Mexican food. And I just had never been in this particular place. There was something about the look of it that I didn't find very appealing. And I lived there for like a year, never went in the store. And one day I was just like, you know what? I'm being unfair because I haven't had any of their food,
Mhm.
and let's give it a try, before I just write it off
Mhm.
as like not a good place. Maybe it's great. It was always busy. And you like
Mhm.
walk in there and it's not like they had like sit down stuff, but it's like you go up to a counter, you order, and then you like sit there or you leave. Kind of, it was casual.
Mhm.
And there was
Yeah.
like a few people in front of me. This is indoors. And so we're queued up, and I see that there's like a bee that seems sort of confused and like just like it's inside, kind of near a bunch of like where you would get sodas, in this cooler, and there's this guy in front of me, and I'm sort of, I'm doing that thing where I'm like, bee, he's kind of looking at me like, get your life together. I'm like, I'm sorry, there's a bee in here. I'm sorry, and he was just having none of it. And the bee just like lands on me and stings me. Like
Mhm.
nothing, like the bee was just like, okay, watch this. And the guy was sort of already looking at me like, what is her problem? Like, why is she so afraid of a bee? And he sort of witnesses the whole thing. And I'm like,
Mhm.
like I say to him, because I'm so like shocked. I'm like, the bee, did you see that? The bee just stung me. And he's just like, he like rolled his eyes and like turned away. I'm like, what just happened? This is so weird.
Hmm.
Why is there a bee in here? And why did it just sting me? And and now and the only witness just thinks that I'm overreacting,
Yeah,
and I
totally.
stayed in there and like still got a burrito. I was just like, I don't even know what happened just now.
Well, what's the worst though is when you referred to yellow
Mm.
jackets. I have probably told this story on the show, but when I was a kid, I got stung by a bee, which I thought was a honeybee, and then it followed me in the house because I was way outside. It stung me, ran into the house screaming, and it followed me in the house and stung me again because they can sting twice. In fact, over back east and in Europe, I would say yellow jackets were definitely a theme. Also, mosquitoes. We all got bit a fair amount. It wasn't that bad for me. I hate mosquitoes too. They're especially when they buzz around your ear at night. And one of the places that we stayed in Mallorca in particular was mosquito and yellow jacket zone. The traveling partner I was with ended up being like maybe like 10 or 100 times more sort of sensitive to mosquitoes. I mean, I thought they loved my blood. I really did. I thought that I was one of those people, but she got completely, I mean, she had them all over. In fact, one night they attacked her face, like the one side of her face that wasn't
Mm.
covered with a sheet, and she had bites all over her face. And then at the end of the trip, we found the mosquito nets for the beds, like in some really random place in the Airbnb. Um, but the yellow jackets kind of scare me more because I find them to be more aggressive than
Well,
honeybees.
now, and correct me
And
if I'm wrong here because I don't really know what I'm talking about. If only there was some way to look this up on the internet. I think yellow jackets bite you and they don't sting you. And that's why they
I
can
think
do
so
it more
too.
than
I'm
once
pretty sure.
because
Yeah.
when the bee stings you, then it dies. It's sort of
Yes.
its way of
Yes,
just being
totally. I
like,
think
well,
you're
if
right
I'm
about
going
that.
out, you're coming with me.
And the yellow, but it's weird that the yellow jacket can bite twice. Like it's just odd, and then it dies
Well, I don't
supposedly.
think so. No, I
Um,
think it could just keep biting you. I think.
let's ask the old Google.
Yeah.
Bite.
What do you think?
Let's see.
I
Let's
know there's
see.
someone out there being like, I know my bees and yellow jackets and
Yeah.
whatever insect genus they're in, and I can tell you all about it. If so, do write us. Hi at havesuchagoodday.com.
Hey, so Sarah, are you seeing any of the there's a lot of fires happening up here, and I know that this has been in the news. There's been a lot of very tragic, awful fires in the world, not just in California, Hawaii being one of them
Canada, yeah,
recently.
horrible fire season. Worst in the country's history.
Yeah, and I started to listen to The Daily, which is a great podcast. I know you listen, Sarah, and a lot of you
Yeah.
probably listen out there. It's a wonderful podcast. But they were talking recently about there were like specific stories about people. There was someone in particular who survived and was telling some stories about these dogs and these animals, and I couldn't listen. I couldn't listen to it. It was too heartbreaking, and it's so something that's out of our control. At least on the daily level. I mean, I think collectively, maybe if we work a little harder, we can make these stop. But I'm near the Oregon border, and there's a lot of fires going on. There's fires east of here in California. There's fires just north of here, even on the coast, and then at the border, and then also going into southern Oregon. And I went to a wedding this last weekend, which I'll get to in a little bit. But there were a series of parties at for this couple who got married. They have a million friends, and they had friends that came from all over, and a bunch of them came from Portland. And when they showed up, boy, did they have some crazy stories. And they were talking about how harrowing the drive was, how like drove through fires, roads were closed. And it was really scary hearing these stories. And I'm sure you all out there, you've probably had a personal experience with a scary fire, or maybe you have close friends or as someone who has gone through this. And please, share your stories. We'd love to hear them. And I know that I am, at least for now, somewhat safe on the cliff of the ocean. I can't say that that's forever because you just never really know with what's going on the planet. But the air here is quite smoky, and the sun is red, and it's the sky is very strange. It's you got the weird shadows that are kind of like that light orange, and something is just like feels amiss. And like I said, I'm not in the thick of it, but I really see how bad it is right now. And I don't know if you can see any of that down there, Sarah, if you have clear blue skies or if it's smoky.
Yeah, weirdly enough, being in kind of, well, I don't want to say epicenter of anything, but definitely a fire torn area,
Hmm.
in kind of central California, if you look at it on a map, even though we're northern. But the last couple years, and I'm going to knock on wood, my desk is wood. I want
Hmm.
everybody to knock on their wood, wherever it may be. We're going on 2 years of no, like, I mean, not that there haven't been fires, but
Hmm.
there haven't been these large scale evacuations that I
Yeah.
have been through more than once,
Hmm.
and really scary. I mean, even if you're not, first, I don't know, it's like I've never had my house burned down.
Hmm.
I've had things get dicey. So, anybody who's been through, but people have been through so much worse than I have. So I don't want to act like, oh, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
I certainly
Yep.
have not. And
Yep.
when you talk about tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, I mean, there's so many sinkholes. I mean, there's like
Hmm.
so many things, that happen all the time. They're just catastrophic and whatever. But
Yeah.
no, what you're talking about right now, in fact, Heather, just the other day when we were chatting, you mentioned something about the sky, and I was sort of like, oh, because the big news over this last weekend was that there was a hurricane that was coming through California up through Baja California, which is northern Mexico over on the west coast. And everybody was flipping out because it's like we don't get hurricanes over here. Tropical storms kinda, but not of this magnitude. And so it was like this huge deal. And when you mentioned the fires, I was like, gosh, I don't even know what she's talking about. Because here I was just, wondering if this hurricane was going to end up, making landfall anywhere near me, which it didn't. And for the most part, everyone I know who was more in the line of fire, so to speak, of the hurricane is also fine. So I
Hmm.
hope everybody
Yeah.
else is as well. But I don't know. It's sometimes I always feel bad when, for example, you're talking about, fires that impacted people who live in Portland, driving through Oregon. And I'm like, I don't even
Hmm.
know what they're talking about. Like you
I
could have like
know.
put me on
It's hard to
Jeopardy and be
keep
like,
track.
what's the name of the fire? And it's like, I don't know. I have no idea.
No, well, if
Um,
you look at like the map of California, where someone was sending this around, I think it was just the West Coast. It wasn't just California. It was all the way up to like Vancouver, and there were red like dots everywhere. There were so many, and a friend of mine called them like zombie fires. It's just like apparently some of the fires that started a couple weeks ago here or within the last couple weeks were triggered by lightning, which I know a lot of them are. But we did have a pretty wild lightning storm here, and just like the next day, it was like fires. Well, yeah. And in terms of the hurricane, I know that everybody was sort of bracing themselves in Southern California. A lot of my friends were like sandbagging, and I know that we talked about this last week how the weather apps tend to sensationalize, but maybe they're just trying to prepare for the worst, I guess, because it could be worse than you
yeah.
predict.
I think there's a lot of I try to check myself too because sometimes even over the weekend I don't live in Southern California currently, so it's like who am I to say that someone
Yeah.
shouldn't, prepare for the absolute worst and go above and beyond to make sure that they're as safe as possible, for
Hmm.
themselves, their pets, their family, that sort of thing. But there were a couple times where I was like, you're fine.
Yeah.
Not everybody is. So I don't want to
Hmm.
make light of it. And I think that, I should do less of that in general. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you should always assume the worst in things like that. And then you don't get caught, which is where people get in trouble because they didn't take something seriously enough.
And also, yeah, just catching yourself too. Like the other day, I caught myself sort of being like, it's been weirdly cloudy and smoky when you can tell it would have been otherwise a sunny day, like blue sky. And then, I find myself being frustrated with that, but it's like, it could be way worse, and even throughout all these wedding activities, everyone was talking about how, yeah, just sort of lucky to be on the coast, to be somewhere near water. Who
Hmm.
knows though how long that will last? I'm not saying we're going to be lucky forever. I'm always knocking on wood whenever I say stuff like that because it's hard to really say. Um, I feel you on the. I mean, there's a lot of weather is something we really like to talk about on Have Such a Good Day. It's there's all kinds of things to unpack. But
It's like,
I
if
hope
Heather
to
and I
get.
have nothing else, we will talk about the weather.
Yeah, hey man.
That you can trust us on.
Exactly, exactly. This is us. We're a small and mighty team of weather reporters on Team Have Such a Good Day. But, we have a lot of other secrets to reveal, like me and my Liam Neeson obsession lately, which I'll get to in a little bit. But I wanted to bring up one quick thing that I thought about after we recorded last week. And I kept talking about this YOLO thing, this you only live once. in relation to my trip, and just kind of like trying to, do things that we want to do now, because who knows if we'll ever be able to do them, that kind of thing. I was like, is YOLO's an old acronym. It's been around for a long time. And I kind of thought, is this something that's dating me? Like, do the kids these days
I don't
kind of
think so.
scoff at the word
I think
YOLO? I mean,
so.
is it kind of dumb
I think there are not a lot of, yeah, like Gen Z kids talking
that
YOLO.
use the word? Yeah. I mean, you could use something
But
else.
I
You could
could
say
be
seize the
wrong.
day, take the bull by its horns. I mean, there's other ways you can say it. It just struck me. Maybe it's not a cool thing to say. Maybe it's kludgy, you know?
Kludgy. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't know
Hmm.
if y'all know the answer to this nagging question. Email us at hi@suchagoodday.com. And yet, my hot girl summer does continue with this. I do feel like I've been in some non-reality, but now I'm back to reality for good. For a little while now. I have a lot of work ahead of me, and but I did come back from my trip to the following week doing this wedding of a pretty good friend of mine who lives up here. And she had a bunch of activities around the wedding day. So the wedding was Saturday, but she had a party on Thursday, kind of leading up, and then a brunch on Sunday. And it was just like a lot of different events. So my focus has been just kind of getting myself to these events. I wanted to be part of it. And it was a very wonderful event, on a lot of different levels, to just be part of it, to be part of some friends up here, which I feel like my life isn't very social up here, or it hasn't been thus far since the pandemic. I usually leave town and hang with my friends. And I've made a few friends here, but it's never really been a major social scene up here for me. It's more been work, get my stuff done, enjoy the view, kind of thing. But I will say, I got to reconvene with some people I have met before, and got to kind of get to know them better and hang out with them. And then I also met some new people, actually quite a few new people. There were probably at least 150 people at these events. It was a big wedding, at this really cool barn, like in the middle of a town, well, actually outside of a town called Ferndale. Where they've shot a lot of movies. Very, very cute little town. And there's a lot of farmland, a lot of like kind of rolling hills. And it's just on the other side of the ocean where kind of the Lost Coast is. And the venue was really cool. It was sort of a reclaimed, those kind of reclaimed barn situations where they
Yeah.
like paint it white, and they have almost like they're churchy barns. They have like church elements to them. And so they
Hmm. Yeah.
feel, yeah. Anyway, it was one of those types of things, kind of a cool spot, really beautiful grounds, and just it's hard to explain. It was just really one of those incredible experiences. Just so much fun with new people, and it really it gave me hope. It gave me hope because I have been a little bit down on being in the country, and I have felt like my social life is outside of here, that my seizing the day and having fun is away from here. This is more like work base for me, my home base for work. But I really feel like I kind of moved the needle on this. I met some awesome chicks who do really cool things up here, that I never even realized existed, that make wine and jewelry and like good, cool, interesting women who are doing things that I think are really neat. And it was a very sort of enlightening weekend. I feel a little like I'm halfway there. I'm like, okay, I think I could make this my home base. And it was a lot of dancing and eating and celebrating and laughing. So Mazel Tov to the beautiful couple, Sasha and Steven. I had a blast at all of your events, and yeah, hopefully this isn't the end of having a good time. I know we all need it. If any of you out there have had an incredible summer, a hot girl or guy summer, email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com. We'd love to hear all about it.
Indeed. Indeed. Let's talk about your hot summers, everybody. Hot as in sizzling, not,
Yeah.
fire hot.
Yeah,
Although I guess
exactly.
they could both be true. All right, so Heather, this is a real a 180 from anything that we could have been talking about on the show in any capacity.
Uh-huh.
So I have this weird thing where I get, well, I mean, okay. This weird thing is not unique to me. You know, when you have like an earworm, you have a song stuck in your head,
Yeah. Mhm.
and I feel like for whatever reason, especially if I have like just a lot of anxiety in general about whatever, it's not about the song. A song will stick with me that much like stronger and weirder, to wake me up in the middle of the
Mhm.
night, and I've got the song in my head, where I'm like, I really need to sleep. This is weird. Like it's like worse than an earworm. It's like an anxiety earworm plus kind of thing.
Mhm.
Well, the other day I woke up in the middle of the night. I probably was just like thirsty or something, and
Mhm.
I'm in my mind is fee fi fo fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. And do you know what that is, Heather?
Oh,
Out
of
of
course.
context.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
so if anyone is like, I have no idea what you just said, it
Like
is
the
part
the
of.
little three pigs, right?
No, it's Jack and the Beanstalk.
Oh.
Because it's what the giant
Oh,
says.
okay.
Because the
Yeah, I got it
giant and
confused with
Jack
the
are,
three pigs. Yes.
yeah. But you're in the right.
I get the idea. Yeah.
Your genre was in the right somewhere. Yeah. So, but kind of like you, I was like fee fi fo fum. I don't remember the rest of the nurse, like the
Yeah.
fairy tale.
Yeah.
Like what
Yeah.
happened exactly? I know it's
Mhm.
called Jack and the Beanstalk. I know that the giant is the one who was fee fi fo fum, and like the giant wanted to grind Jack's bones and eat them. Yuck. And even as a little kid, I remember being like, do people put human bones in bread? Like, I
You
don't,
thought that as a kid?
well, I just was like, I don't know why this would be a
It crossed your
line.
mind. Yeah,
I
totally.
mean, the giant was, made up, but I didn't,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, what do you, when you first hear something like that, you're like in nursery school. So I was like, I couldn't get it out of my head, and it was bothering me that I had forgotten all of the details of like what even happened in that story. I know there was a beanstalk. I know
Uh-huh.
that Jack is like the protagonist. I know that there's a giant who's mean, but like, was it even about? Like, what was the moral of the story? Well, it
Yeah.
turns out, as we were talking about looking up things on the internet, there are some answers without me actually just reading the fairy tale, which probably isn't
Uh-huh.
even that long. This one goes back really far, though, Heather. So, Jack and the Beanstalk, as it's commonly known today, apparently goes back. It has had several different incarnations and even different titles, appearing in 1734 as the story of Jack Spriggins. That's his last name. And
Oh.
the Enchanted Bean.
I love that you looked I love that you're into this. This is so my jam.
Yeah. And then in 1807, still quite a long time ago,
Uh-huh.
author named Benjamin Talbart had sort of changed it, made it his own. And then the title was The History of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then you've got Henry Cole, who had like a, pseudonym that, had a version of the same story in
Uh-huh.
another story called The Home Treasury. There was another Joseph Jacobs who wrote it in English fairy tales. And that apparently is the one that is most closely related to what anybody who's alive today may have heard as a kid.
Okay.
And just a small reminder. I hope this isn't a spoiler. If it is, I don't know what to tell you. But so Jack is like he's poor. He's trying to like help his family. Sells a
Uh-huh.
cow, gets some magic beans, and everyone's like, "The beans aren't magic. God, you
Yeah.
you ruined everything. You sold our cow." But the beans are magic, and so when he plants them, the beanstalk grows, and it grows like really high. So he climbs it, and then he finds
Mhm.
the giant who like lives in the clouds.
Mhm.
Very unclear how gravity doesn't do anything to the giant, but that's not really the point. The point is that the giant's mean. The giant has been like stealing things from humans for a long
Uh-huh.
time. Jack, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, yada, 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 wins, kills the giant, and everybody loves him and gets all his stuff back. And he has the magic beans to thank. So the whole thing, I guess, you're supposed to take away from it is like, next time you feel like that might be the winning lotto ticket, you don't listen to anybody else. You take a leap of faith and it
You do
might turn
you.
out well. You might be
Yeah,
like
totally.
Jack and the
I don't know
beanstalk.
if I ever got that meaning out of that one. I mean, I would say that there are other fairy tales that I agree are like fairy tales are very strange. And I read a lot of the Grimm's fairy tales when I was a kid, like the Rumpelstiltskin and
Mm-hmm.
Rapunzel and all that. And there was always like a real darkness to it for sure. And then there was the moral. And I think some of them I remember, and I remember reading Jack and the Beanstalk. I just don't really remember what the moral was. So thank you for the reminder, Sarah.
You're
I
welcome.
think it's funny that you went down this rabbit hole,
I didn't really want
because
to even. That's the weird part about it. It's like it
it's like me
woke
and my
me
lotto
it
tickets.
woke me up. And I would say, yeah, I would almost be like, you know, I'm clairvoyant or something, but I'm like, nah, this happens all the time with like
Mhm.
song lyrics or whatever. I've got a postal service song in my
Totally. Like,
head right
why
now.
did that get stuck in your head? And it is
I
very
don't know.
bizarre
Fee fi
up
fo fum.
there.
It probably was like in a commercial somewhere.
Sure.
There was
Something triggered something
something
in your
triggered
brain.
something, and
Yeah,
I just don't remember. It was
for
subconscious,
sure.
but then it just like wouldn't leave. And so I
Mhm.
was like, okay, let's do a deep dive on Jack and the Beanstalk. So
I love it.
anyway,
It's
that's
where
what I've been up to.
our minds work in mysterious ways. Oh, speaking of, I wanted to circle back to the yellow jacket thing. I did a
Hmm.
quick Google search just so we're straight here. I was wrong. Yellow jackets can actually sting and bite. They will
Mm.
often bite to get a better grip to jab their
Well,
stinger
that
in.
isn't
That
very
is
nice.
even more. It's not very nice. It freaks me out even more. And they don't lose their stinger. So I don't know where I heard that. I thought they lost their stinger after two stings. They can sting numerous times and they will do so unprovoked. They're like really defensive of their nests. They also, yeah, they don't die after stinging as honeybees do. So that's interesting. I think maybe it's kind of one of those things that you think you know it because you learned it as a kid and you spend your whole life thinking this is a fact, and then you Google it and you realize this whole time you were wrong.
Yeah.
um, but one last thing before we wrap up the show, I just wanted to just update you guys on what I've been doing in my downtime because I've only had a little sliver of it, but I've gotten back to my a little bit of a routine of watching my movies after dinner at night, like between 7:30 and 8, and kind of a quick little window of watching something. But I didn't watch pretty much anything on my trip. There wasn't really any time. And it was highly social, so I didn't really have a lot of alone time. But it has been nonstop since I've been home. I'm not going to lie. I've had a little bit of anxiety trying to get everything done. I obviously was a little behind being gone for so long. But speaking of nonstop, that's actually a pretty good movie from 2014. It's a Liam Neeson movie, which is what I've been watching lately since I've been back because I kind of can't handle a very complicated plot right now. I really am tired at night. I'm trying to kind of get back in my rhythm, and I usually watch a lot of like subtitled movies and stuff, but I'm like this is my boyfriend. Of course, Elijah's the one that suggested watching this because he found some DVDs for $2 at like a garage sale or something, and he ended up with a huge stack of Liam Neeson movies. I'm fully aware of him and I've seen some of his movies. I've seen Taken, I've seen some of the low hanging fruit, but I never really saw all of them. He's in a lot of them. And so we've been on this little kick because he bought all these at this garage sale. And I just kind of wanted something a little low impact. And I sort of forgot how great he is as an action star because he's so different than your typical action star. He's just so chill and kind of has this, he's so tall. He's like 6'4" or something. And he's just kind of this lanky guy who, when he's even getting like the shit kicked out of him, he still kind of seems a little
Like he's
mellow,
like
like he's just
mellow.
chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, like,
His
his life is at risk.
composure
He
is
is
really
very
sticking with you.
composed. Yeah, and his loved ones lives are at risk, but he's still just really chill. And it kind of chills me out because I feel a little tense from like all the work I have to do. And I mean, for the record, I wouldn't kick him out of bed for eating crackers either. But I have really enjoyed who he is as an action hero because he isn't your typical action. You're not like, he's not showing his abs and this whole thing.
Yeah,
But
it's not like one of the Fast and Furious,
no.
hunky, I don't know, stars. I can't
Yeah,
even think of
exactly.
anybody but The Rock. I don't know,
Yeah,
all those guys.
totally. And also, I will say on this note though, I believe I may have seen Taken, one of the Takens. It might have been Taken 2 on Max, which used to be HBO. But
Hmm.
I will say on this show, I think Max sucks. I'm not happy with it because it just changed over to Max not that long ago. And I may also be wrong about there could be another Liam Neeson movie on there, maybe Taken 3 or something. So I'm not saying it sucks altogether. But there are part of the reason why I think I like fell into watching all these action flicks. There's no shows, and obviously there's the writer's strike that's been going on for a long time. Duh, like a lot of these shows are on hold. um but I don't know how you guys feel. And Sarah, I wanted to hear your thoughts because I kind of want to cancel. I want to finish off.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished, well, I guess there might be another episode or two, but I love How to with John Wilson, which you originally recommended I watch. I really love it, and so does Elijah, and we're super into it. But other
Yeah,
than that,
I knew
I might
you
cancel.
would like it.
It's so good. And I want to know if any of y'all out there are planning on canceling, or if you want to cancel, let us know. Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com. And now, Sarah, what do you think?
Well, I hear your, I feel and hear, I hear your pain. What am I watching? A bunch of garbage. But like, I
Yeah.
mean, that's just me.
Oh, you
But
like the garbage. That's right.
I love
That's a
garbage.
good point. So
Love
you may
it.
not cancel
Just
Max. See, I
put
don't watch
garbage
that
into
stuff.
my body and
It does have
mind.
more garbage than it used to. So
Well,
yeah, so it might be your
but the thing
jam.
is, here's the thing is I can admit this to all of you because it's too late. I already have, and I don't. Your judgment is fine. I'm cool with it. There are certain people. When like certain people, you're getting to know them. Oh, like I like to come across as like a semi-intelligent person. But when
Yeah.
it comes to what I watch on television, I mean, I watch lots of highbrow things.
You
I mean,
do.
look at me reading about Jack and the Beanstalk on
You have a
Wikipedia.
wide
I mean, I
range.
have no limit. But I also, so much of the TV that I watch, and I think a lot of this just has to do with living alone for so long, where it's
Yeah.
like, I can sit in silence and read,
Uh-huh.
but I often am just like kind of doing something on the computer and I have something on the TV. If I'm
Yeah, totally.
cooking, I really like to have something that like I'm not even really looking at the TV, but I kind of know what's going on. And when you get the shows that are like Love is Blind or 90 Day Fiance, the UK edition, things like
Hmm.
that where like other people are like, "Oh God, I would never watch that." I'm like, "Perfect. It's perfect." You just
Well,
put it
but
on and then it just
you're
kind
not
of
glued to it.
goes.
You're
You,
doing something else,
yeah,
and
and you
that's
don't like if you go to the bathroom, you don't pause. I mean, maybe you do. I
no.
don't know.
See,
It's
that's
fine if you
that's
do.
different TV watching in my mind. Honestly, that's like a different type of watching.
It's totally different. It to the point where I was watching. What was I watching? Oh, it was I don't even know what network this was on, but it was a series about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard
Hmm.
defamation trial
Yeah,
from a couple of years ago, which was, it was a whole spectacle and, it was
yeah,
televised, a lot of it anyway, courtroom drama. And it was like, I didn't really watch it when that was all happening. I kind of knew the outcome, but I mean, I wasn't following like step by step.
hmm,
And so it was like this, I don't know, a multi-part series. And it was, it was just, take the, celebrity out of the whole thing. It was just like
yeah.
a very interesting courtroom drama about it was very specific. I don't know if you're not familiar with the whole thing. I don't even really want to get into it because it's
because we're running out of time.
well, but it's also just like it's pretty unpleasant, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But court system, etc. And
But I get it.
But I kept
I get
like,
what you're saying.
I would like look down or take a bite of my dinner or whatever. I'd look back up and be like, crap, I gotta rewind. Like I'm not paying attention because sometimes I'm just used to like only paying half attention of like whatever's on. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely different types of watching, and so yeah, maybe we can unpack this in another show. But in the meantime, I'm probably going to watch another Liam Neeson movie tonight, so I will report back on what that is. We still have a few left.
All right.
But in the meantime, I don't know. Sarah and I are gonna wrap this baby up in a minute here.
We're gonna wrap it up. Heather and I, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna wrap it up like a sandwich
With a little bow.
from 7-Eleven with a lotto tickets. We hope y'all win.
Kind of like a bagel dog.
Like a bagel.
We're going to wrap it with
This
some
show
dough.
is like a bagel dog,
It is like a bagel dog.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. But a
Yeah.
good bagel dog. Like a good,
It's a good,
tasty,
fresh,
organic bagel dog.
Yeah.
If that's even a thing.
Maybe it's like, yeah, like you were at Costco and there's a bagel dog station because they want you to buy the bagel
seriously.
dogs.
Okay. Seriously, Sarah, what if I'm serious? If there was like a good, yummy, hippie bagel dog that was like maybe a vegan dog or like a really good, like a grass-fed meat dog with like, like a whole grain outside.
No,
that
you're
would be
ruining
really
it.
good.
No,
that'd be
that's
good.
something
I
else.
would like
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
No, I want a bagel dog. I want a real bagel dog.
All
I
right,
want a
we're gonna work on that.
bagel dog with
Sarah, I'm gonna take you out
multigrain.
for a bagel dog next time I come visit. That's how fancy we're gonna roll.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
I want to mention really quickly, we got a note from Kevin. I had mentioned, as we talk about weather ad nauseum on the show, but last week, it was probably last week where I was asking y'all if you primarily use weather apps, because I find different weather apps to have different information. And Kevin wrote in and said that his weather source is Weather Underground, and you can only access it from a browser. He uses Firefox. He doesn't use smartphone apps at all. And I went on this website, Kevin, and I think I need to thank you because this is more of what I'm looking for. I am looking at my 10-day forecast up here in NorCal, and it's really nice and thorough. It's got lots of data, lots of graphs, chance of snow, humidity, wind, all the things. So thank you so much. I think I'm going to keep this tab open for now. I might just use this instead of my iPhone app. I think this is exactly what I'm looking for. So thank you so much for letting us know.
Yeah. Stay on top of the weather, however suits you best. Stay safe out there, everybody. We know that depending on where you are in the world, depending on the season you're in and longitude, so many factors. That not everybody is super safe right now, so we're hoping the best for everybody. Stay safe. Stay dry. Stay cool. Stay wet if you want to. It's fine, just stay safe.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Yeah, a friend who always signs off all of her emails with peace and love. She's been doing it for as long as I've known her.
Huh.
And I used to think like, really? Every time? And now I'm like, I like this.
Yeah, I know.
it.
I might have to start doing it because I don't have a sign off.
You should. Peace and love.
I can't get excited about best. I just, it doesn't do it for me.
Best. That's a good one. Yeah, it's
conversation
like best
for another
best
day.
Everything. I don't know. Best.
Yeah.
Just get out there and be your best.
Do your best.
Yeah. Best,
All
Sarah.
right.
Well, we hope you're all the best. And another episode of Have Such a Good Day is in the can. Episode 203.
Yeah.
Which means next week it'll be 204, and we'll be back raring to go. Have a great week in the meantime.
Have such a good day.
Bye.